Welcome, traveler of time. Tonight, let your shoulders loosen and your breath grow slow. There is nowhere else you need to be right now, only here. Before we begin, may I ask, where are you watching this video tonight? And what time is it where you are right now? If you leave a comment telling me, it will bring me quiet joy. Take a deep breath and let the day's weight slip gently from your mind. Let your thoughts drift like leaves upon a calm river. Let the city of Rome slowly rise before your imagination. Imagine the sunlight brushing the marble streets, the scent of fresh bread in the air, the distant laughter of children mingles with the soft clatter of carts. You are safe here, in this moment. Allow your body to settle into the rhythm of gentle evening and let your mind open fully to the past. Tonight, we will walk through the city, through alleys and open squares. We will watch the daily lives of Romans unfold through the eyes of a young boy named Lucius. Lucius, born into the heart of Rome, knows the city as his own heartbeat. Before we begin, ponder this. What scents would you notice as you walked past the bakeries, the markets, the fountains? What sounds would ripple through the streets as evening descends? Could you feel the texture of the stones beneath your sandals, cool and worn smooth by countless footsteps? Could you hear the whispers of the wind through the columns of the Forum? Would you recognize the rhythm of life that beats in every courtyard, every insula, every garden? Tonight, I invite you to leave behind the worries of your day, to let your mind wander freely, to step into the sandals of Lucius, and to feel the pulse of Rome as it hums softly beneath the fading sun. Are you ready to take your first step into the streets of ancient Rome? The first light of dawn creeps over the 7 hills. Lucius awakens slowly, stretching his arms above his head. The cool stone floor beneath his feet sends a gentle shiver through him. He opens the small shutter of his window. The streets below are quiet, save for the distant clatter of a baker preparing bread. A soft breeze carries the scent of warm dough and fresh herbs. Lucius dresses in a simple tunic, its fabric rough but familiar against his skin. He steps outside into the narrow alley. The sun casts long golden stripes across the cobblestones. A cat slips silently between the shadows. The walls of the nearby insulae are painted with faded murals, telling stories of gods and heroes. Lucius takes a deep breath, feeling the city breathe with him. He walks toward the Forum, where merchants begin to arrange their stalls. The chatter of vendors fills the air, soft, rhythmic, like a gentle song. A fruit seller offers figs glistening with morning dew. Lucius pauses, inhaling the sweet aroma of ripened fruit. A water carrier passes by, balancing amphorae carefully on his shoulders. The fountain at the square gurgles softly, spilling crystal water into the basin. Children chase one another between the stalls, their laughter light and airy. Lucius smiles faintly, feeling the pulse of life in every corner. He greets an elderly man tending olives. The man nods, eyes twinkling. The smell of fresh bread grows stronger as he approaches the bakery. Lucius stops to watch the baker knead dough, flour dusting the air. He can hear the soft hiss of the oven as it warms for the day. The streets begin to hum with quiet energy. A cart rumbles by, loaded with freshly cut timber. Lucius steps aside, feeling the vibration through the stone beneath his feet. The sun climbs higher, warming the marble steps of a nearby temple. Birds circle above, calling softly to one another. Lucius pauses in the square, letting the morning fully sink into him. Lucius wanders deeper into the marketplace. The air is thick with scents of spices, honey, and fresh herbs. Vendors call softly to passers-by, their voices mingling like a gentle symphony. A potter displays clay amphorae, smooth and wet from morning molding. Lucius runs his fingers over the cool surface of a small vase. A merchant carefully arranges colorful fabrics, their threads shimmering in the sunlight. He pauses to watch a fishmonger clean his catch, the silver scales glinting. The chatter of customers creates a soothing rhythm. Lucius smiles at a young girl balancing baskets of grapes on her head. The cobblestones beneath his feet are worn smooth by centuries of footsteps. A small dog darts between stalls, sniffing curiously at every corner. Lucius observes the blacksmith hammering iron, sparks flying like tiny stars. The steady beat of metal on metal resonates in the market square. Nearby, a baker hands a warm loaf to a grateful customer. Lucius can almost taste the crusty bread in his mind. A perfume seller arranges small bottles, their scents mingling in the cool morning air. He breathes deeply, letting the fragrances fill him with calm. A water carrier splashes a bit of water onto the pavement, catching the sunlight. Lucius watches as it glitters like scattered gems. The chatter, the movement, the smells, all form a living tapestry around him. A group of children play a quiet game of knucklebones in the corner. Lucius kneels briefly, watching their nimble fingers. A street musician strums a lyre softly, the notes floating through the market. He feels the vibration of the melody in his chest. An old woman offers a small smile as he passes, her eyes warm and kind. Lucius notices the subtle details of the architecture, each stone telling a story. He traces the edges of carved reliefs depicting Roman myths. A gentle breeze carries dust and petals across the square. Lucius takes another deep breath, savoring the quiet pulse of life. He feels connected, small, but part of the great city. Lucius leaves the market and steps into a quieter street. The sun has climbed higher, warming the stones beneath his sandals. Small courtyards open like hidden gardens between the insulae. He notices laundry hanging on lines, swaying gently in the breeze. The scent of fresh herbs from a nearby home drifts through the alley. An elderly man sweeps his doorway, dust rising in soft clouds. Lucius nods politely as he passes, the man returning the gesture. A group of women draw water from a well, their laughter soft and rhythmic. He watches their movements, precise and practiced from years of daily chores. The stones beneath his feet are uneven, polished smooth by countless steps. A dog rests in a patch of sunlight, eyes half closed. Lucius crouches briefly, feeling the warmth of the creature beside him. The walls of the buildings are adorned with small paintings of household gods. A child peeks from behind a doorway, curious about the passerby. Lucius smiles softly and continues on his way. A baker carries a tray of warm bread, steam curling into the morning air. He offers a nod of thanks as Lucius passes, eyes meeting briefly. The street hums with quiet life, each sound part of the city's pulse. Lucius notices a fountain tucked between two buildings. The water glints in the sunlight, rippling gently. He pauses to touch the cool surface, feeling the flow run past his fingers. A young boy chases a rolling hoop, laughter mingling with the fountain's gurgle. Lucius walks on, stepping over tiny puddles left from an earlier rain. The smell of baked goods drifts from a nearby shop, warm and comforting. He hears the faint clink of a cobbler hammering leather. The sun casts long shadows across the walls, painting intricate patterns. Lucius breathes deeply, savoring the mixture of scents, sounds, and textures. The city feels alive, breathing with him as he moves through its streets. Every corner holds a new detail, a small wonder to notice. He pauses briefly, listening to the distant echo of the Forum. Lucius turns into a narrow lane lined with small workshops. The sound of hammers striking metal greets him first. Sparks fly gently from the forge, glimmering like tiny fireflies. A blacksmith shapes iron with careful, practiced strokes. The smell of hot metal mingles with the faint scent of oil. Lucius watches quietly, appreciating the rhythm of the work. Nearby, a potter spins clay on a wheel, water glistening on his hands. The wheel turns slowly, steadily, shaping a vessel with deliberate care. Lucius notices the subtle cracks forming as the clay dries in the sun. A weaver hums softly, threads intertwining into intricate patterns. The loom creaks gently with each motion, like a living instrument. Lucius studies the colorful fabrics, imagining the garments they will become. A carpenter measures a plank, marking it with precise lines. He moves with confident, fluid motions, each cut exact. The scent of fresh timber fills the narrow lane. Lucius passes a small basket maker, weaving reeds with nimble fingers. The rhythm of the weaving is hypnotic, soothing to the ear. A nearby cobbler mends worn sandals, the leather soft under his tools. Lucius notices the small imperfections that make each pair unique. A candle maker dips wicks into warm wax, the aroma faint but comforting. The sunlight filters through the open doorways, highlighting floating dust particles. Lucius pauses to watch a young apprentice learning from a master. The boy's hands tremble slightly, but his eyes shine with focus. Every sound and motion blends into a harmonious symphony. Lucius breathes in deeply, feeling calm and attentive. He touches the smooth surface of a finished clay pot, cool from drying. A small bird perches nearby, chirping softly in rhythm with the workshop noises. The city's heartbeat is gentle here, in these quiet places of creation. Lucius continues walking, carrying the peace of these crafts with him. Each workshop tells a story, each artisan a guardian of tradition. Lucius leaves the workshops and wanders toward a quiet garden. The scent of blooming flowers drifts softly through the air. Marigolds, roses, and lavender sway gently in the morning breeze. A small fountain bubbles in the center, water sparkling like liquid crystal. Lucius kneels and dips his fingers into the cool stream. He feels the gentle flow, refreshing and calming. A few bees hum lazily around the blossoms, golden bodies glinting in the sun. The distant sound of a flute drifts from an open window. Lucius tilts his head, listening carefully to the delicate notes. The fountain's ripples catch the sunlight, scattering tiny reflections across the stones. Nearby, a gardener trims a hedge with careful measured strokes. Lucius watches the precision, the slow artistry of tending life. A cat stretches lazily along a stone wall, eyes half closed in contentment. The soft rustle of leaves accompanies the garden's quiet symphony. Lucius breathes deeply, letting the fragrances and sounds settle in his mind. A small child tiptoes through the flowers, careful not to crush the blooms. Lucius smiles, remembering his own youthful curiosity. A couple of pigeons coo softly, ruffling their feathers in the sunlight. The warmth of the day grows gentle, embracing the city with quiet peace. Lucius notices the intricate carvings along the fountain's edge, tiny depictions of nymphs and fish. He traces them with his eyes, imagining the hands that shaped each curve. A soft breeze brings the faint scent of freshly baked bread from a nearby bakery. Lucius inhales the mingling aromas of earth and food grounding him. A gardener waters a small patch of herbs, droplets scattering like tiny gems. Lucius crouches briefly to watch, fascinated by the subtle play of light and water. The city around him hums quietly, full of life, yet gentle, restrained. He sits on a low stone bench, letting the calmness wash over him. The sky above stretches wide and pale blue, dotted with drifting clouds. Lucius closes his eyes for a moment, feeling the sun warm his face. Time seems suspended here in this hidden corner of Rome. Lucius leaves the garden and walks toward the public baths. The stone streets echo softly under his sandals. Steam rises gently from the warm pools within the bathhouse. The scent of oils and herbs drifts into the air, delicate and calming. He steps inside, feeling the coolness of marble floors beneath his feet. Romans move gracefully through the halls, voices low and respectful. Lucius notices the intricate mosaics depicting Neptune and sea creatures. The gentle trickle of water from small fountains fills the space with soft music. A bath attendant pours warm water over a reclining man. Lucius watches the droplets catch the light, sparkling like tiny diamonds. The air is warm and humid, filled with quiet murmurs and soft laughter. He feels the sensation of steam brushing against his skin, soothing and light. A group of young men exercise in the palestra, stretching and tossing light weights. The rhythmic thud of leather balls on the floor blends with murmured conversation. Lucius walks past a row of benches, each occupied by Romans applying oils or examining scrolls. A woman adjusts her hair, combing it slowly with care. The aroma of scented oils mingles with the faint smell of heated stone. Lucius pauses to listen to the soft echo of footsteps and water. He notices the subtle patterns on the floor tiles, geometric and precise. A child splashes quietly in a shallow pool, delighting in the movement of water. Lucius smiles faintly, remembering the simplicity of his own childhood games. A man massages another's shoulders, the gentle motion rhythmic and steady. Lucius feels a sense of calm washing over him, matching the warm flow of water. The marble walls glisten softly under the flickering torchlight. Steam curls and rises, shaping delicate patterns in the air. Lucius imagines the hands that carved each basin, each arch. The bathhouse is alive yet serene, a sanctuary of daily routine. He finds a quiet corner to sit, observing the world with attentive eyes. Time feels suspended, measured only by the gentle flow of water. Lucius breathes deeply, absorbing the tranquility and rhythm of Roman life. Lucius leaves the baths and follows the scent of warm bread through narrow streets. The morning sun glints off the smooth marble and cobblestones. He arrives at a small bakery tucked between two insulae. The baker kneads dough with practiced rhythmic movements. Flour rises in soft clouds, dusting the floor and air. Lucius watches, mesmerized by the slow, deliberate shaping of loaves. The oven door opens, revealing golden crusts steaming gently. The aroma fills the air, sweet and comforting. A customer receives a loaf, the baker bowing slightly in greeting. Lucius feels a soft rumble of anticipation in his stomach. He steps closer to the counter, eyes wide with curiosity. The baker offers a warm smile, holding out a freshly baked loaf. Lucius accepts it carefully, feeling its heat through the cloth wrapping. He breaks a small piece, inhaling the fragrance deeply. The bread is soft, yet firm, the crust delicate and golden. He savors the taste, sweet and slightly nutty. Outside the streets hum with quiet activity. Merchants call softly, and the distant sound of the forum reaches his ears. Lucius notices the tiny imperfections that make each loaf unique. A cat rubs against the baker's leg, purring softly. Lucius chuckles quietly, enjoying the small moment of connection. The scent of herbs and honey wafts from nearby stalls. He takes another small bite, feeling grounded in the simple pleasure. Sunlight warms his shoulders as he steps back into the street. He watches the baker knead another batch of dough. The rhythmic motion of hands pressing and folding is hypnotic. Lucius lingers briefly, feeling the peace of these quiet streets. A bird lands on a bakery roof, chirping softly in greeting. The city breathes around him, full of life, yet gentle, measured. He tucks the remaining loaf carefully under his arm, carrying warmth with him. Lucius tucks the loaf under his arm and walks toward a small temple. The building is modest, yet its stone pillars gleam softly in the morning sun. A faint scent of incense drifts from the entrance, delicate and sweet. He pauses at the threshold, feeling the coolness of shadowed stone. Inside, a few Romans kneel quietly before small statues of household gods. The flicker of oil lamps casts gentle shadows along the walls. Lucius notices the intricate carvings of figures offering gifts to deities. The soft murmur of prayers fills the room, blending with the faint rustle of robes. A priest arranges fresh flowers at the altar, his hands moving slowly, reverently. Lucius observes, fascinated by the deliberate care in every gesture. The smell of wax and herbs combines with the faint aroma of baked bread from outside. He kneels briefly, touching the smooth stone floor with his palm. The quiet presence of devotion and reverence soothes his mind. A small child places a pebble before a statue, careful and respectful. Lucius smiles softly, remembering his own childhood offerings. A gentle breeze enters through an open window, stirring the incense smoke. The rays of sunlight illuminate dust particles, making them shimmer like tiny stars. Lucius listens to the soft chanting of a distant prayer, rhythmic and calm. He notices the serene expressions of worshippers, absorbed in their rituals. The temple walls are decorated with simple murals depicting gods in daily life. Lucius studies each detail, imagining the hands that painted them. A candle flickers, casting a slow dancing shadow across a marble altar. He breathes deeply, letting the quiet reverence fill him completely. The hum of the city outside is distant, softened by thick stone walls. Lucius stands slowly, feeling a sense of peace linger in his chest. He touches the cool stone pillars one last time before leaving. Outside, the sunlight feels warmer against his skin, welcoming him back. He walks slowly along the street, carrying the calm of the temple with him. The city's life continues gently around him, harmonious and measured. Lucius feels fully awake to the beauty and ordinary moments of daily life. Lucius leaves the temple and heads toward the Tiber River. The morning sun glimmers off the flowing water, gentle and bright. Boats drift slowly along the current, their oars dipping quietly into the river. The scent of wet reeds and river mud mingles with the city air. Fishermen cast nets, their movements rhythmic and practiced. Lucius watches the glint of silver fish as they struggle briefly in the nets. A water carrier fills amphorae from the river, balancing them carefully. The gentle lapping of water against boats forms a soothing, constant rhythm. A group of children skip stones, the soft plunks echoing across the riverbank. Lucius bends to pick up a smooth pebble, testing its weight in his hand. The riverbanks are dotted with reeds and small wildflowers, swaying in the breeze. A merchant tends to goods unloaded from a small boat, arranging crates carefully. Lucius notices the intricate knots used to tie the sails, practical and precise. The scent of fresh fish and herbs drifts through the air, mingling with river mist. A swan glides past silently, neck curved gracefully, wings barely rippling the surface. Lucius feels a calmness settle over him, watching the quiet flow of life. Boats glide past, carrying clay jars, woven baskets, and other daily supplies. The sunlight dances on the river, creating patterns of gold and silver. A man mends a fishing net, his fingers deft and patient. Lucius notices the rhythmic movement of the hands, almost hypnotic. A cat crouches on the riverbank, watching the water intently. The faint sound of bells from a nearby temple drifts across the river. Lucius inhales deeply, blending the scents, sounds, and sights into a calm mosaic. A pair of ducks paddles along, quacking softly, creating ripples in the water. He dips his fingers into the cool river, feeling the gentle current slip past. The city hums around him, but here, near the river, life flows slowly. Lucius leans back slightly, eyes tracing the clouds reflected in the water. The breeze brushes his hair, carrying whispers of faraway streets and markets. He sits for a moment on the bank, absorbing the serenity of riverside life. Each ripple, each bird, each soft sound becomes a part of the gentle rhythm of the day. Lucius leaves the riverbank and wanders into a quiet residential street. The scent of herbs and cooking fires drifts from small windows. Children run between the insulae, laughing softly as they play. An elderly woman hangs laundry, sunlight glinting on the wet cloth. Lucius greets her with a nod. She returns it with a warm smile. A small dog follows him briefly, tail wagging in gentle rhythm. He notices the worn stone steps of the buildings, smooth from countless footsteps. A man sits outside his doorway, carving a small wooden figurine. The rhythmic tapping of his chisel is soft and soothing. Lucius pauses, watching the tiny curls of wood fall to the ground. A woman carries water from a nearby fountain, balancing amphorae with practiced ease. The sound of her sandals against the stones blends with the murmurs of conversation. Lucius passes a small courtyard where children chase each other, playing quietly. The walls of the buildings are adorned with faded frescoes, colors muted by sun and time. He studies the images of mythological scenes, imagining the stories behind them. A street musician strums a lyre, notes floating softly in the morning air. Lucius breathes deeply, letting the music mingle with scents and sights. The sun filters through narrow alleyways, creating long, delicate shadows. A baker passes by, carrying a tray of warm rolls, greeting a neighbor along the way. Lucius watches the rolls glisten in the sunlight, tempting in their warmth. A group of women knead dough together in a doorway, chatting softly. The gentle laughter blends with the rhythmic movements of their hands. Lucius pauses to observe a young boy practicing writing on a wax tablet. The faint scratch of stylus on wax adds another layer to the quiet symphony. A bird perches on a nearby roof, calling softly to its mate. Lucius notices the subtle differences in architecture from building to building. A fountain bubbles gently in a hidden courtyard, water sparkling in the sun. He sits briefly on a low stone wall, feeling the rhythm of life pulse gently beneath him. Every glance, every sound, every movement creates a mosaic of ordinary wonder. Lucius stands and continues down the street, carrying the gentle energy of his neighborhood. Lucius turns into a narrow alley where a small shrine rests against a wall. The scent of incense lingers faintly in the air. A few coins rest on the altar, offerings left by passers-by. Lucius kneels briefly, touching the smooth stone floor with his palm. The faint glow of a lamp illuminates carved images of household gods. A woman passes by, murmuring a quiet prayer, her hands folded respectfully. Lucius watches her, noticing the calm concentration on her face. A child places a pebble on the altar, careful and reverent. The tiny act feels sacred in its simplicity. Lucius breathes in slowly, letting the quiet ritual settle in his mind. The walls of the shrine are adorned with small frescoes of daily Roman life. Lucius studies each detail, imagining the hands that painted them. A gentle breeze stirs the smoke of incense, carrying it toward the street. The soft murmur of the city is distant here, muted by thick stone. A bird lands on the edge of the shrine roof, chirping softly. Lucius smiles at the small presence, feeling connected to life around him. A passerby leaves a sprig of laurel on the altar, bowing slightly. Lucius notes the careful placement, appreciating the attention to detail. The sun filters through a narrow window, casting a warm stripe across the floor. He watches the dust particles float lazily in the beam of light. A woman adjusts a small lamp, her movements precise and deliberate. Lucius kneels once more, closing his eyes briefly in quiet reflection. The shrine feels timeless, a pause in the city's continuous rhythm. A soft footstep on the stones behind him reminds him of the living city outside. Lucius rises slowly, feeling the tranquility linger in his chest. He touches the carved images gently before stepping away. The sun warms his back as he leaves the alley, returning to the street. Life continues softly around him, measured and harmonious. Lucius carries the calm of the shrine within him as he walks forward. Every small gesture, every quiet act shapes the gentle rhythm of Roman daily life. Lucius leaves the shrine and follows the scent of warm bread and herbs toward a small tavern. The wooden door creaks softly as he pushes it open. A gentle haze of smoke drifts from the hearth, mingling with the aroma of simmering stews. Romans sit at low tables, sipping wine and quietly conversing. Lucius notices the carved wooden beams overhead, worn smooth with age. A server carries a tray of clay cups, moving carefully between the tables. The soft clatter of cups and spoons blends with murmured voices. Lucius finds a corner to observe without disturbing the flow of the room. A man tells a quiet story, hands gesturing slowly, eyes shining with amusement. Lucius listens attentively, captivated by the rhythm of speech. The fire crackles gently, sending small sparks upward before fading into the chimney. A young boy delivers bread to a table, careful to avoid the scattered chairs. Lucius notes the subtle gestures of politeness and respect in each interaction. A woman stirs a pot over the fire, the aroma of herbs rising to mingle with the warm air. The wooden floor creaks softly under the movement of patrons and servers. Lucius watches a pair of friends clink their cups in quiet celebration. The wine glints deep red in the sunlight streaming through the doorway. A dog rests near the hearth, tail flicking occasionally at passing feet. Lucius observes the expressions on each face, reading the quiet stories of daily life. The tavern hums softly, alive yet tranquil. A man leans back in his chair, stretching his arms with a sigh of contentment. Lucius imagines the conversations he has yet to hear, each one a small narrative. A pot bubbles quietly, releasing fragrant steam that drifts across the room. He breathes deeply, savoring the mix of warmth, aroma, and gentle chatter. The shadows dance slowly on the walls as sunlight shifts with the passing hour. Lucius watches a server pause, listening to a patron's quiet request. The rhythm of movements and gestures forms a gentle, hypnotic pattern. A breeze drifts through the open door, carrying distant sounds of the street. Lucius feels a sense of calm settle over him, immersed in the peaceful flow of life. He rises slowly, leaving the tavern behind, carrying its warmth within him. Lucius leaves the tavern and steps toward the bustling forum. The wide open square stretches before him, marble gleaming in the sunlight. Merchants display goods on tables, fabrics, fruits, and pottery catching the light. The soft chatter of Romans fills the air, a gentle symphony of daily life. Lucius notices a senator walking calmly, robes flowing gracefully behind him. Children run between the columns, their laughter echoing softly against stone. A sculptor chisels quietly in a corner, small chips of marble falling to the ground. The sound of hammer on stone is rhythmic, almost meditative. A water carrier balances amphorae, stepping carefully across worn stones. Lucius pauses to admire the intricate reliefs on nearby temples. The carvings depict gods in motion, frozen mid-gesture, full of life. A street musician plucks a lyre, the notes drifting gently through the square. Lucius listens, letting the music mingle with the bustle of the forum. Vendors call softly, offering figs, olives, and freshly baked bread. The scent of spices drift from a small stall, warm and fragrant. A potter arranges his wares, the smooth clay catching the sunlight. Lucius steps closer, studying the shapes and textures of each piece. A philosopher speaks quietly to a small group, gestures measured and slow. The sound of sandals on stone forms a steady, soothing rhythm. Lucius notices the subtle patterns in the paving, each stone carefully placed. A child chases a hoop along the edge of the square, laughter light and airy. The fountain in the center glistens, water rippling softly in the breeze. Lucius dips his fingers briefly into the cool water, enjoying the sensation. Nearby, a man sharpens tools, the soft scrape of metal filling a quiet space. The sun warms his shoulders as he continues walking slowly through the square. Each movement, each sound, each smell creates a layered, gentle symphony of life. Lucius feels the heartbeat of Rome, steady, calm, and alive. The architecture, the people, the daily motions, all harmonize in perfect rhythm. He pauses at a corner, taking it all in, savoring the rich texture of the city. The Forum is alive yet serene, a tapestry of ordinary moments strung together. Lucius leaves the main square and steps into a quiet temple garden. The garden is tucked between tall marble columns, shaded and serene. Flowers bloom in careful rows, their colors vivid under the morning sun. A small fountain bubbles in the center, water sparkling and clear. Lucius kneels briefly, dipping his fingers into the cool liquid. A soft breeze carries the fragrance of roses and lavender through the garden. Birds flit between the trees, chirping softly in harmonious rhythm. A priest tends to small offerings, arranging fruit and flowers with care. Lucius watches silently, respecting the quiet devotion of the moment. The marble statues of gods and nymphs glisten faintly in the sunlight. Their carved expressions are gentle, serene, almost lifelike. Lucius steps along a stone path, careful not to disturb the delicate blooms. A child peers through the low hedge, eyes wide with curiosity. He smiles softly, remembering his own childhood wonder. A cat curls in the shade of a column, tail flicking lazily. The water of the fountain ripples, creating patterns of light on nearby walls. Lucius inhales deeply, letting the scents and sounds settle into his mind. A soft murmur of prayers drifts from the temple nearby, rhythmic and calm. He notices the smooth paths worn by countless visitors over the years. A gardener prunes a small tree, petals falling gently to the ground. Lucius watches the careful motions, hypnotic in their repetition. Sunlight filters through the leaves, casted intricate patterns on the stone. A gentle breeze stirs, carrying the faint scent of freshly baked bread from the streets. Lucius feels the serenity of this hidden garden seep into his chest. He pauses to observe a small group of Romans bowing before an altar. The quiet reverence contrasts with the distant hum of the Forum. Lucius closes his eyes briefly, absorbing the balance of life around him. A bird lands on the fountain edge, pecking at the water surface. He smiles, appreciating the subtle beauty of these ordinary moments. Time feels suspended here, calm, measured, and soft. Lucius rises slowly, continuing his morning walk with the garden's peace inside him. Lucius leaves the temple garden and returns toward the Forum. The streets are livelier now, mid-morning activity spreading like gentle waves. He follows the aroma of freshly baked bread, warm and inviting. A bakery stands at the corner, smoke curling softly from the small oven. The baker kneads dough, his hands moving with practiced rhythm. Lucius observes the rising loaves, their crusts golden and inviting. Customers pass quietly, exchanging greetings and coins with polite bows. The soft murmur of conversation blends with the crackle of the oven fire. Lucius notices a young apprentice shaping dough under the baker's watchful eye. The boy's hands tremble slightly, but the baker guides him with patience. Bread is placed carefully on trays, steam rising in delicate curls. The scent of warm crust mingles with the faint sweetness of honey cakes. A woman purchases rolls, offering a gentle smile to the baker. Lucius watches the exchange, noting the soft rhythm of gestures. Nearby, another bakery prepares flatbreads, slapping dough gently onto heated stones. The motion is precise, practiced, almost hypnotic. Sunlight filters into the street, highlighting dust motes and soft shadows. Lucius takes a deep breath, savoring the mixture of warmth, aroma, and quiet activity. A child peeks through the doorway, eyes wide with curiosity and delight. The baker waves gently, acknowledging the small visitor. Lucius notices the subtle variations in each loaf, imperfections that make them unique. A dog rests nearby, tail flicking lazily as patrons pass. The street hums with life, lively yet measured and gentle. Lucius continues along the path, carrying the warmth and calm of the bakery with him. He pauses briefly to admire a small display of figs and olives arranged neatly. A street musician strums a quiet melody on a lyre, blending with the bakery sounds. Lucius listens, allowing the rhythm to merge with the sights and smells around him. The morning sun climbs higher, casting long shadows across the cobblestones. He feels grounded in the gentle pulse of Roman daily life. Every aroma, every movement, every glance adds to the calm symphony of the city. Lucius leaves the bakery and walks toward a small fountain square. The sunlight dances across the water, creating tiny flashes of gold. Children play near the fountain, splashing lightly and laughing softly. A cat watches from a nearby ledge, tail flicking lazily. Romans carry water from the fountain in amphorae, moving with practiced ease. Lucius pauses to watch a young boy balance a jug on his shoulder. The faint gurgle of the fountain blends with soft murmurs of conversation. An elderly woman sits nearby, weaving a basket from reeds. Her hands move slowly, weaving intricate patterns with careful precision. Lucius smiles, appreciating the quiet artistry of everyday life. A baker passes, carrying fresh bread to a nearby stall. The scent of warm crust mingles with the subtle fragrance of herbs. Lucius notices the patterns of sunlight and shadow across the square. A merchant arranges fruits and vegetables neatly on a wooden table. The colors of figs, grapes, and olives are vibrant under the sunlight. Lucius observes a young girl offering a small fig to a bird perched nearby. The bird pecks gently, undisturbed by soft human presence. A man sharpens a knife, the rhythmic scraping echoing faintly. Lucius listens to the harmony of quiet sounds, each blending into the next. A woman pours water from the fountain into a clay jug, balancing it carefully. The water glimmers in her hands, reflecting the movement of clouds above. Lucius leans on the fountain edge, dipping fingers into the cool flow. He watches ripples extend outward, disturbed slightly by a passing breeze. Nearby, a small child chases a rolling hoop, laughter mingling with the gentle water sounds. Lucius breathes slowly, letting the calm rhythm of life around him settle. A cat curls beside the fountain, tail twitching occasionally. Sunlight filters through nearby trees, creating dappled patterns on the stones. The square hums gently, alive yet tranquil, a microcosm of Roman daily life. Lucius rises, feeling the warmth and calm of the fountain square within him. He continues walking through the city, carrying the gentle rhythm of these moments along with him. Lucius walks down a narrow street toward a small tailor's shop. The scent of dyed cloth and thread drifts softly into the air. Inside, a tailor measures fabric carefully, scissors poised above the material. Lucius watches the precise motion, the way each cut is deliberate and measured. Sunlight filters through the open doorway, highlighting the folds of cloth. A young apprentice threads a needle, hands trembling slightly with focus. The tailor guides him gently, showing each stitch with slow care. Lucius notices the vibrant colors of dyed wool and linen stacked neatly on shelves. The rhythmic snip of scissors blends with the faint hum of the street outside. A client tries on a tunic, adjusting folds and lines with careful attention. Lucius observes the subtle gestures, the patience in every movement. The tailor pins cloth with meticulous precision, each placement exact. Threads of gold and red shimmer under the sunlight, catching Lucius' eye. A small fire burns in a brazier, soft warmth filling the shop. Lucius feels the gentle heat, comforting and steady. The air is filled with quiet concentration, each action meaningful. A basket of finished garments rests neatly in a corner, folded with care. Lucius imagines the hands that wore these tunics in daily life. The apprentice practices stitching a hem, the thread moving slowly through fabric. Lucius watches the patterns emerge, delicate and intentional. A customer converses softly with the tailor, gestures slow and polite. The scissors snip again, creating a crisp, clean sound that blends with murmurs. Lucius leans slightly, observing the subtle motions of hands and eyes. The shop is alive with gentle rhythm, vibrant colors, and the scent of cloth. Outside, sunlight warms the street, contrasting with the calm interior. Lucius takes a deep breath, letting the tranquil atmosphere fill his chest. He feels the artistry of daily life in every folded fabric and precise stitch. The apprentice smiles faintly, pride in his careful work reflected in his eyes. Lucius stands slowly, stepping out into the street with quiet appreciation. The city continues softly around him, a tapestry of calm, deliberate actions. Lucius walks toward a small blacksmith shop, drawn by the faint metallic scent. The rhythmic clang of hammer on iron greets him softly at the doorway. Inside, the blacksmith bends over an anvil, sparks dancing gently with each strike. Lucius watches, fascinated by the precise, deliberate motions of the craftsman. The glow of hot metal illuminates the shop with a warm amber light. A young apprentice holds a tongs steady, careful not to touch the glowing iron. The blacksmith adjusts the angle of the hammer, sending a small shower of sparks into the air. Lucius notices the worn handles of tools, polished, smooth by countless hands. The air smells faintly of smoke and heated metal, grounding and steady. A small bellows hisses as the apprentice pumps, feeding oxygen to the fire. Lucius observes the slow rhythmic rise and fall of the bellows' motion. The blacksmith pauses, wiping sweat from his brow with a cloth. A soft draft from an open window carries the distant sounds of the street. Lucius notices the intricate patterns beginning to emerge on a newly forged sword. The hammer strikes create a gentle, hypnotic rhythm in the quiet shop. A piece of iron glows red hot before being carefully quenched in water. The hiss and steam add to the layered, calm symphony of sounds. Lucius watches droplets of water sizzle against the glowing metal. The blacksmith inspects his work closely, adjusting small imperfections with patience. The apprentice watches intently, learning each movement with careful attention. Lucius notes the subtle artistry in shaping raw metal into useful, beautiful objects. The forge fire casts dancing shadows across the walls and ceiling. A nearby lantern flickers, soft light blending with the glow of the forge. Lucius breathes deeply, absorbing the calm intensity of craft and labor. The shop is alive yet tranquil, a space where time slows and focus sharpens. Outside, the streets continue their gentle rhythm, children laughing softly in the distance. Lucius feels the warmth of the forge linger in his chest as he steps back outside. He carries the quiet power of the blacksmith's work with him as he walks onward. Each sound, movement, and glow contributes to the rich tapestry of Roman daily life. Lucius smiles faintly, appreciating the subtle beauty in ordinary work. Lucius wanders down a quiet street toward a small herbalist's shop. The air is fragrant with dried herbs, roots, and flowers. Bundles of lavender, rosemary, and thyme hang from wooden beams. Inside, the herbalist sorts ingredients into small clay jars with careful hands. Lucius watches their precise movements, each selection deliberate and slow. Sunlight filters through the open doorway, highlighting dust motes drifting gently. A mortar and pestle sits on a table, grinding leaves into fine powders. The soft rhythm of crushing and sifting blends with distant street sounds. Lucius notices small labels, written carefully, marking the purpose of each herb. A young apprentice arranges bottles filled with oils and tinctures neatly on a shelf. The herbalist selects chamomile flowers, crushing them gently between fingers. Lucius inhales the calming scent, feeling the warmth of nature surround him. A customer enters softly, asking for a remedy for a mild headache. The herbalist measures ingredients precisely, murmuring instructions under his breath. Lucius observes the careful balance of herbs and oils in the small clay bowl. Sunlight catches the surface of a glass vial, creating a tiny prism on the table. The apprentice stirs a small pot, releasing fragrant steam into the air. Lucius notices the subtle color of different leaves and powders, each unique. A cat sleeps quietly on a shelf, occasionally twitching an ear at the gentle sounds. The herbalist mixes a potion slowly, observing consistency and aroma. Lucius is captivated by the calm, deliberate rhythm of the shop. Small bundles of dried flowers sway slightly in a soft breeze from an open window. The faint sound of distant voices blends with the grinding of herbs and rustle of paper. Lucius feels grounded, surrounded by the natural scents and textures of remedies. The apprentice carefully labels a jar, writing with slow, deliberate strokes. Lucius watches, appreciating the quiet dedication to craft and care. Sunlight illuminates a small sprig of rosemary on the counter, sharp and fragrant. A soft rustle from a nearby curtain reminds him of the living city outside. Lucius takes a deep breath, letting the calm of the herbalist's shop linger within him. He steps out slowly, carrying the subtle harmony of nature and craft along the streets of Rome. Lucius walks down a narrow street toward a small carpenter's workshop. The scent of freshly cut wood and sawdust drifts softly into the air. Inside, the carpenter measures a plank carefully, chalk lines marking precise edges. Lucius watches the slow, deliberate motions, appreciating the patience in each action. Sunlight filters through the open doorway, highlighting wood grains and textures. A young apprentice sands a small stool, moving hands rhythmically over the surface. The carpenter adjusts a joint, testing the fit with careful fingers. Lucius notices the worn tools, each handle smooth from years of use. The soft scrape of saw against wood blends with the distant hum of the street. A client examines a finished chair, turning it gently to inspect craftsmanship. Lucius studies the intricate carvings along the edges, each curve deliberate and precise. The carpenter nods slowly, satisfied with the subtle symmetry of his work. An apprentice polishes a tabletop, the surface gleaming faintly in sunlight. Lucius watches wood shavings fall in gentle curls to the floor. A small fire burns in a brazier, giving warmth and light to the shop. The rhythmic tapping of a mallet on a chisel forms a calm, steady pattern. Lucius leans slightly, absorbing the harmony of sounds and movements. Sunlight casts intricate patterns across wooden surfaces, enhancing textures. The carpenter adjusts a plank, listening to the faint creak of the joint. Lucius notices the care taken in every detail, from large beams to tiny pegs. A small child peeks through the doorway, curiosity soft and gentle. The apprentice smiles faintly, focused on the delicate carving in his hands. Lucius breathes slowly, letting the calm precision of the workshop fill him. Outside, sunlight warms the street, shadows shifting softly with the hour. The scent of wood and polish lingers, grounding Lucius in the present moment. He observes a wooden cart being repaired, nails driven gently into place. The sound of hammering is steady, hypnotic, part of the city's rhythm. Lucius feels the quiet satisfaction of labor and creation in the air. He steps outside slowly, carrying the tranquil rhythm of the workshop with him. Every measured motion, every crafted surface contributes to the gentle pulse of Roman daily life. Lucius walks along a sunlit street toward a small pottery shop. The scent of wet clay and smoke drifts gently from the open doorway. Inside, artisans shape clay on spinning wheels, hands moving slowly and carefully. Lucius watches the smooth rotation, marveling at the transformation of simple clay. Sunlight filters through a window, highlighting the damp, earthy surfaces. A young apprentice molds a small bowl, guided by the experienced artisan. The soft scraping of fingers against clay forms a gentle, rhythmic sound. Lucius notices the subtle variations in each piece, each unique and deliberate. A row of finished pots rests on a shelf, their surfaces smooth and gleaming. The artisan trims excess clay, fingers precise, movements steady and deliberate. Lucius observes the careful attention to symmetry and proportion in each item. A small fire burns in a kiln at the back, glowing softly through its doorway. The smell of baking clay mingles with faint herbs hanging from beams. An apprentice carries a tray of newly fired amphorae, careful not to jostle them. Lucius admires the painted patterns, subtle designs reflecting daily Roman life. A bird flits past an open window, chirping softly before settling nearby. The artisan applies final touches to a jug, smoothing edges with practiced hands. Lucius bends slightly, appreciating the skill in shaping and decorating the clay. The gentle spinning of the wheel, the soft scraping of tools, forms a hypnotic rhythm. A client selects a bowl, turning it slowly, feeling its weight and balance. Lucius watches the interaction, noting the quiet respect between artisan and customer. Sunlight glints off glazed surfaces, shimmering softly in the warm light. The apprentice wipes hands on a cloth, smiling faintly at the completed work. Lucius breathes deeply, letting the earthy scent and calm sounds settle into his mind. Outside, the street hums softly, distant voices blending with the workshop's rhythm. He notices a small cat napping near the kiln, undisturbed by passing feet. Lucius steps back, appreciating the balance of creation and stillness in the space. The shop is alive yet tranquil, filled with subtle motions and gentle sounds. Every movement, every molded shape contributes to the harmonious tapestry of daily life. Lucius leaves slowly, carrying the quiet artistry of the pottery shop with him. Lucius leaves the pottery shop and enters a lively yet gentle marketplace. Stalls line the streets, displaying fruits, vegetables, fabrics, and small trinkets. The scent of fresh bread and ripe olives mingles with the aroma of herbs. Vendors call softly, inviting passers-by to examine their goods. Lucius walks slowly, observing without disturbing the quiet rhythm of trade. A woman arranges figs neatly, adjusting their positions with careful hands. Children chase each other lightly, laughter floating above the market hum. A man tends to a small cage of birds, their soft chirps blending with distant voices. Lucius pauses, watching a merchant weigh olives on a simple balance scale. The rhythmic sway of the scale forms a gentle, hypnotic motion. A customer examines a bolt of cloth, running fingers along its texture. Lucius notices the vibrant colors, each hue catching the morning sunlight. A baker passes through the square, offering rolls to waiting patrons. The smell of warm crust mingles with the earthy aroma of produce. Lucius observes a young boy handing a coin to a vendor, careful and polite. The vendor smiles faintly, counting the coin with deliberate motion. A street musician plays a soft melody on a flute, notes drifting above the stalls. Lucius listens, letting the music blend seamlessly with the bustle around him. A cat weaves between legs, tail flicking, unnoticed yet present. Sunlight filters through awnings, creating patterns of light and shadow on the cobblestones. Lucius notices the subtle expressions on each face, reading the quiet stories of life. A woman pours water from a small fountain into a clay jug, balancing it gently. Nearby, a child offers a small flower to a passerby, who accepts with a smile. Lucius breathes slowly, letting the harmony of scents, sounds, and movements settle within him. A man sharpens a knife at the edge of a stall, the soft scraping adding another layer to the scene. Lucius pauses, taking in the combined textures, colors, and rhythms of the market. The marketplace hums with life, lively yet measured, a gentle pulse of daily activity. He continues walking slowly, absorbing each detail, each motion, each sound. Every glance, every subtle gesture contributes to the intricate tapestry of Roman life. Lucius smiles softly, carrying the gentle rhythm of the marketplace within him as he moves onward. Lucius walks toward a large Roman public bath, its stone entrance cool in the morning sun. The scent of warm water and faint oils drifts softly from the open doorway. Inside, water pools ripple gently, reflecting sunlight from high windows. Men and boys move slowly through the caldarium, their footsteps echoing softly. Lucius observes the careful motions of bathers, each action deliberate and calm. A servant carries bowls of scented oil, offering them to patrons with measured grace. The warm steam rises in gentle waves, creating a hazy, tranquil atmosphere. Lucius notices the smooth marble floors, polished from countless visits over years. A young boy scrubs his arms carefully, guided by an elder's quiet instructions. The soft scraping of strigils against skin forms a rhythmic, hypnotic sound. Patrons converse quietly, voices low and gentle, blending with the hiss of steam. Lucius walks slowly past the tepid pool, letting the warmth soothe his senses. Sunlight filters through small openings, casting delicate, moving patterns on the walls. A man sits near the edge of a hot pool, relaxing, eyes half closed in contentment. Lucius observes the interplay of water, light, and shadow across smooth surfaces. A servant massages a bather's shoulders, movement slow and measured. The faint scent of herbs mingles with warmth, calming and familiar. Lucius notices small mosaics on the walls, scenes of myth and daily life. The rippling reflections from water dance gently across the mosaics, alive yet calm. A cat rests quietly near the entrance, tail curled, undisturbed by the patrons. Lucius listens to the soft lapping of water, the gentle clink of bowls and oil jars. He breathes deeply, letting the warm atmosphere fill his chest and mind. A group of men exchange quiet laughter, careful not to disturb the overall serenity. The echo of distant voices forms a subtle background to the hypnotic rhythm of water. Lucius watches steam rise from the hottest pools, curling into the cool air above. The air is warm, heavy with moisture, yet comforting, embracing him softly. Patrons move with deliberate care, mindful of one another, a silent respect pervading the bath. Lucius steps to a cooler pool, dipping hands slowly, feeling the contrast of temperatures. Every sound, every movement, every scent contributes to the calm symphony of daily life. He leaves the bath slowly, carrying its warmth and tranquility with him back into the streets. Lucius leaves the bath and wanders into a quieter part of the city. Narrow streets are lined with small gardens and hidden shrines tucked between homes. The scent of flowering plants drifts gently, mingling with warm stone and morning air. Lucius notices ivy climbing carefully along the walls, leaves glistening with dew. A small shrine rests against a doorway, coins and tiny offerings placed reverently. He pauses, observing a passerby bow quietly before the carved images. Birds flit between trees and rooftops, chirping softly in the calm morning. Lucius steps carefully along the stone path, admiring the small details of gardens. A woman waters a patch of herbs, droplets falling slowly onto the soil. The rhythmic flow of water and gentle movements create a subtle hypnotic effect. Lucius breathes deeply, inhaling the mixture of floral scents and cool morning air. A cat prowls softly along the edge of a garden, tail flicking lazily. He notices a small fountain in a courtyard, water rippling over worn stone. Sunlight filters through leaves, casting dappled patterns on the cobblestones. Lucius observes small statues tucked among plants, faces calm and serene. A child leaves a pebble at a shrine, careful and deliberate in the quiet act. The gentle murmur of prayers reaches him, blending with distant street sounds. Lucius watches a gardener prune a flowering bush, petals falling softly. The scent of herbs and soil grounds him, slow and comforting. A small bird perches atop a shrine, head tilting as it listens to distant sounds. Lucius feels the quiet rhythm of life, deliberate and harmonious, all around him. Sunlight warms his back as he continues along the narrow street. Every gesture, every bloom, every ripple of water contributes to the layered calm. Lucius pauses, touching the smooth stone of a shrine, feeling centuries of devotion. He notes the small arrangements of flowers, coins, and tiny figurines left by locals. The air carries distant laughter and soft footsteps, part of the city's gentle pulse. Lucius continues walking slowly, carrying the peace of these hidden spaces within him. The gardens and shrines whisper the quiet poetry of everyday Roman life. Each step blends him seamlessly into the tranquil rhythm of the city. He smiles faintly, appreciating the harmony of human care, nature, and stone. Lucius follows a narrow street and approaches a small wine shop. The rich scent of fermenting grapes drifts softly from the open doorway. Inside, barrels line the walls, their wooden staves polished and worn smooth. A shopkeeper carefully pours wine into clay cups for a waiting customer. Lucius watches the slow, deliberate motions, each gesture precise and measured. Sunlight filters through a small window, glinting off the liquid in the cups. A young apprentice labels small amphorae with care, handwriting neat and deliberate. The soft clink of cups and jars blends with faint conversation in the warm air. Lucius notices the subtle hues of red, amber, and gold in each sample of wine. A man nods politely to the shopkeeper, accepting a poured cup with gentle hands. The aroma of grapes and oak barrels mingles with faint dust and warm stone. Lucius observes a small ledger, the shopkeeper recording sales with calm precision. A cat rests near the doorway, tail flicking lazily as patrons move past. The apprentice carries a filled amphora carefully to a shelf, balancing it with focus. Lucius breathes slowly, letting the warmth, scent, and rhythm of the shop fill him. A woman samples wine delicately, tilting her cup to catch the sunlight. The shopkeeper smiles faintly, noting her satisfaction with quiet pride. Lucius notices small jars of dried fruit and nuts, arranged neatly for customers. A gentle breeze drifts through the open door, rustling papers and labels softly. The soft murmur of conversation and faint laughter blends with the clinking of vessels. Lucius watches the interaction between customer and shopkeeper, noting subtle gestures. Barrels of wine create a warm, earthy backdrop, grounded the space in gentle aroma. A child peeks in from the street, curiosity bright in wide eyes. The apprentice offers a small taste, the child nodding with quiet delight. Lucius smiles faintly, observing the small joys of daily trade. Sunlight glances off polished barrels, casting warm streaks across the floor. The shop hums gently, alive yet tranquil, a microcosm of Roman life. Lucius steps slowly out of the wine shop, carrying its calm and richness with him. Every scent, every gesture, every sound contributes to the peaceful rhythm of the day. He continues down the street, the harmony of daily life unfolding gently around him. Lucius leaves the wine shop and enters a quiet residential street. Stone houses line the street, their walls warm in the late morning sun. The scent of baking bread drifts softly from an open doorway. Children play quietly near a fountain, tossing small pebbles into the water. Lucius notices a woman sweeping her doorstep, movement slow and deliberate. Sunlight filters through wooden shutters, casting patterned shadows on the stone floor. A man carries a basket of freshly laundered cloth, balancing it carefully on his head. Lucius observes the soft rhythm of domestic life, each motion calm and purposeful. A cat slinks along a low wall, tail flicking lazily, unnoticed by passers-by. A young boy practices drawing letters in the dust with a stick, focused and patient. Lucius smiles faintly, remembering his own quiet moments of study. The scent of herbs drying on a balcony mixes gently with warm stone and sun. A small bird lands near a fountain, pecking delicately at scattered seeds. Lucius watches a woman tend to a small garden in a courtyard, pruning carefully. Soft laughter drifts from an open window where children play indoors. Lucius notices the worn steps of a home, polished smooth by countless feet. A man tends to a clay pot, gently stirring its contents with measured care. Sunlight glances off a tiled roof, warm and inviting. Lucius pauses at a corner, observing a neighbor exchanging bread for olives with another. The subtle gestures of exchange create a quiet, harmonious rhythm. A child waves softly to Lucius, who nods with a gentle smile. A dog rests in a shaded doorway, tail twitching lazily at the gentle movements around it. Lucius breathes slowly, letting the calm domestic rhythm settle within him. The air carries distant music, the soft hum of a lute from a nearby window. Lucius notices the fine details of door handles, pottery, and window shutters. The warmth of sunlight, scent of food, and quiet chatter creates a layered harmony. Lucius observes the careful arrangement of flowers and herbs on window ledges. Every gesture, every sound, every scent contributes to the peaceful tapestry of life. He continues walking slowly, absorbed in the gentle pulse of the residential street. Lucius smiles faintly, carrying the serene rhythm of domestic life with him onward. Lucius walks toward a small school tucked between stone houses. The soft murmur of voices reaches him before he enters the doorway. Inside, children sit on low benches, styluses in hand, writing on wax tablets. A teacher moves slowly along the rows, guiding their hands and correcting gently. Lucius observes the quiet concentration, each child focused on their own task. Sunlight filters through a small window, illuminating tiny dust particles in the air. The teacher speaks softly, emphasizing letters and numbers with measured patience. Lucius notices the faint scratch of stylus against wax, rhythmic and hypnotic. A boy tilts his tablet, checking the alignment of his letters carefully. Lucius smiles faintly, remembering his own early lessons in writing. A girl recites softly, her voice blending with the scratching of styluses. The teacher nods gently, offering quiet encouragement to each student. Lucius observes the simple tools of learning: tablets, styluses, and wooden benches. The room is warm and inviting, filled with quiet focus and calm energy. A small cat rests in a corner, undisturbed by the movements of children. Lucius notices the careful posture of each student, attentive and deliberate. Sunlight glints off a small pot of ink, the surface shimmering softly. The teacher pauses, allowing the children to practice independently. Lucius watches the rhythmic motion of hands moving across tablets, hypnotic and steady. A student smiles faintly at completing a line correctly, pride evident in subtle gestures. Lucius breathes slowly, absorbing the calm, patient atmosphere of learning. Outside, the sounds of the street are softened, distant, and gentle. The teacher offers quiet praise, nodding slowly at each correct letter and number. Lucius observes the discipline and care in the gentle guidance of youth. Every scratching, every soft word, every glance contributes to the quiet harmony. Children repeat phrases softly, voices blending into a soothing, layered rhythm. Lucius feels the gentle order of the classroom seep into his thoughts and chest. The room hums with learning, alive yet calm, a microcosm of Roman daily life. He leaves the school slowly, carrying the quiet focus and calm energy with him. Each step merges with the rhythm of the city, a seamless continuation of everyday life. Lucius walks quietly toward a small temple tucked away on a narrow street. The scent of incense drifts softly, mingling with warm stone and sunlight. Marble columns rise gently, worn smooth from centuries of touch. Lucius observes a few worshippers kneeling quietly, offering coins and flowers. The soft murmur of prayers blends with the distant sounds of the street. A small fountain trickles gently, its water rippling over smooth stone. Lucius notices the subtle patterns carved into the temple walls, intricate and delicate. A priest moves slowly, adjusting offerings with careful hands. Sunlight filters through an open doorway, casting soft rays onto the floor. Lucius watches a young boy light a small candle, careful not to spill wax. The gentle flicker of flames adds warmth and rhythm to the courtyard. A woman bows her head, whispering a prayer, her movements deliberate and calm. Lucius feels the serene atmosphere, the quiet focus of devotion all around him. A cat rests near a column, tail curled, eyes half closed in peaceful watchfulness. The air carries faint scents of flowers, incense, and warm stone, grounding and soothing. Lucius observes the subtle gestures of gratitude, respect, and reflection. The soft sound of sandals on stone echoes lightly, blending with trickling water. A small bird lands near the fountain, pecking delicately at the smooth edge. Lucius notices carved reliefs depict gods in daily life, worn but clear. Sunlight glances off small offerings, casting tiny, fleeting reflections across the floor. A priest murmurs quietly, arranging incense and water with careful rhythm. Lucius breathes slowly, letting the calm devotion settle gently within him. The temple courtyard is alive with ritual yet tranquil, a haven amid the city streets. He observes the quiet interaction between worshippers, respectful and unobtrusive. Every gesture, every sound, every scent contributes to the layered serenity of the space. Lucius watches a small flame flicker in the breeze, shadows dancing softly on the walls. The courtyard hums with the gentle pulse of private devotion, measured and enduring. Lucius smiles faintly, carrying the calm and reverence with him as he steps outward. Each step merges seamlessly with the quiet rhythm of daily Roman life. He walks slowly back into the streets, the serene harmony of the temple lingering within him. Lucius walks slowly along the quiet streets, the late afternoon sun warming the stones. He notices shadows stretching gently across doorways and walls. The city hums softly, alive yet calm, each movement deliberate and measured. Lucius reflects on the day, the markets, workshops, gardens, and baths he has seen. Every gesture, every scent, every sound now blends into a gentle memory. He pauses near a small fountain, listening to the soft trickle of water. The breeze carries faint scents of herbs, flowers, and baked bread. Lucius breathes slowly, letting the calm and rhythm of the city settle within him. He remembers the artisan shaping clay and wood with careful hands, the blacksmith hammering iron, sparks dancing softly, echoes in his mind. The tailor folding cloth, each stitch precise and deliberate, lingers in memory. Lucius smiles faintly, recalling children playing and soft laughter drifting through streets. He remembers the quiet devotion in small shrines and the temple courtyard, the warmth of a bathhouse, the gentle rhythm of water and steam soothes him. Lucius feels connected to every subtle motion of daily life, every calm pulse of the city. Sunlight glances off stone and marble, highlighting textures he has observed throughout the day. He steps carefully, each movement measured, absorbing the harmony around him. The city seems to whisper softly, inviting him to pause and reflect. Lucius breathes in deeply, letting the atmosphere of Rome fill his senses completely. He feels the subtle cadence of life, steady, enduring, and gentle. The street sounds fade slightly as the evening approaches, replaced by soft shadows and warmth. Lucius smiles faintly, carrying the quiet artistry and labor of the city within him. He pauses one last time at a corner, glancing at distant rooftops and chimneys. The glow of lanterns begins to flicker softly in windows along the streets. Lucius whispers softly to himself, remembering every scent, sound, and gesture. He feels gratitude for the ordinary, the calm, the beauty in daily life. Lucius takes a final slow breath, letting the tranquility seep into his bones. The city continues softly around him, alive yet serene, a living mosaic of life. He turns slowly, stepping toward home, carrying the rhythm of Rome within him. And as night falls gently, Lucius disappears into the quiet streets, leaving the story with the viewer.